I cannot communicate how excited I am for the Rose Bowl between Alabama and Michigan. Not just because it should be a great game based off of analytics, matchups, the fact that we have two top four head coaches and two top four teams battling it out for a chance to win a national championship, but also because this slate of New Year's Six Bowl games has been disappointing. From the slugfest that was the Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Missouri, from defensive opt outs and James Franklin's coaching making Penn State's defense look like gutter trash against Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl, and in regards to the Orange Bowl between Georgia and Florida State, we can just move on. Georgia was up 56-3 at the end of the third quarter. In some ways, it's an even worse beatdown than the one that Georgia put on TCU last season in the national championship. But I'm going to give reasons why I think Alabama can win this game. And while I'm only giving 2 reasons as opposed to giving 5 reasons why Michigan can win, these are pretty sizable reasons for Alabama. In fact, they're 2 big reasons why Alabama will beat Michigan. And based off of how Missouri beat Ohio State and Ole Miss beat Penn State, and looking at how Georgia just crushed Florida State in the Orange Bowl, I have to admit that personally as a Michigan fan, I am feeling more nervous for the Rose Bowl. From an objective point of view, I know that Florida State had like 20 opt-outs. Ohio State was on their third string quarterback for much of the game and had their best player opt out. And I also know that Penn State had their 2 best corners opt out in the last minute. They had Chop Robinson and their best offensive lineman opt out as well. So the opt-outs have hurt the Big Ten a lot more than their other opponents, but Ryan Day and James Franklin were out-coached objectively as well by Eli Drinkwitz and Lane Kiffin, and Kirby Smart is one of the best head coaches in the country. So maybe it does just mean more in the SEC, and maybe that is the third reason why Alabama will beat Michigan. But before we get any further into this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I release more college football content. There will be videos out tomorrow and Monday, and I will be live reviewing, giving play-by-play and color commentary on both the Rose Bowl between Alabama and Michigan and the Sugar Bowl between Texas and Washington. We garnered over 60,000 viewers for the Cotton Bowl live watch party, and we garnered over 20,000 live viewers for the Peach Bowl watch party. So I would love to see all of you there, as I expect this video to reach thousands of people. Like the video, share this channel around, and encourage fellow college football fanatics to subscribe and join us for our college football playoff watch party and commentary. And if you want to support the channel, sign up to my Patreon page as a paid member via the link in the description and the pinned comment, or you can visit my merchandise store, which will also be below the pinned comment as a response and in my video description, and comment any amount of reasons that you wish, but I would prefer 5, as that is what I wanted to do, but I don't have the time to do that. Comment 5 reasons if you can, or 4, 3, or 2, or even 1 why you think the Alabama Crimson Tide will win this football game. Alabama is the 4th seed in the college football playoff. It was between them and Florida State. Florida State right now is getting pounded in the Orange Bowl. This current score at the time of this recording is 63-3, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Georgia decided to make it 70-3 or 77-3. What I will say is it came down between Florida State and Alabama, the final 4th spot, and it's not fair to say that Florida State would have just gotten blown out in the college football playoff if they were healthy. I mean, they had 20 opt-outs. Jordan Travis would have really helped this team, and even Tate Rodemaker would have performed at a much higher level at quarterback than Brock Glenn. But I do think that a healthy Florida State compared to a healthy Alabama, I think that a healthy Alabama wins there. Alabama has the better coach. Alabama, I think Jalen Milroe later in the season was a better quarterback than Jordan Travis was. I think that Alabama overall has a better run defense, and in certain cases a similar pass defense, or at least a higher upside on pass defense than Florida State does. Florida State's defense, I think, overall was more sound, but Alabama was really getting into rhythm, and they did play a much tougher strength of schedule. And between Mike Norvell and between Nick Saban, I'm taking Nick Saban any day in that matchup. Speaking of which, Nick Saban by himself is reason number one why Alabama can/will beat Michigan. Just for reference, my score prediction for this game is Michigan 31, Alabama 20, and I have a variety of reasons why I think Michigan will win this game. If you want to watch my 5 reasons why Michigan will beat Alabama video, you can click the tab in the top right corner of your screen, or you can click the video link in the description or down below in a reply to the pinned comment. I also encourage you to check out my official preview and prediction video where I preview what the betting market thinks of this game, what ESPN thinks of this game, break down the teams position by position, and list my official prediction, score prediction, and the link to that will be in the description and below the pinned comment as well. And there's another, this is the longest video I've done for the Rose Bowl, a 50-minute preview and analysis that talks about statistics, analytics, and is really just me trying to dish out statistics and performance numbers and some of my own personal objective opinions about each team to try and help you decide who is better between Michigan and Alabama. And I also have those same type of videos in at least the preview and prediction and deep analysis format for the Sugar Bowl between Texas and Washington and Michigan and, well, just Texas and Washington, my bad. But getting back on topic, nearly got derailed there, but we're staying strong and moving forward, just like Nick Saban has this season, because I think this is Alabama's worst team since 2010, and Nick Saban has done an awesome job coaching. This is his best coaching job, I think, at Alabama, period, amen. This team going 12-1 and winning the SEC is a work of art. It takes someone who has perfected their craft to take this Alabama team, who looked like a disheveled, dysfunctional mess after that Texas loss and USF game, to go 12-1, to score, as we'll get to in a few minutes, 42.2 points per game in their last 5 games, to beat a Georgia team who just beat Florida State by 60 points in the Orange Bowl and looked like one of the best teams in the country and one of the few elite teams in the country in the regular season. This all is because of Nick Saban. He is the GOAT. He's the best coach in college football. And he is given a month to prepare an elite game plan for what I think is the biggest game of Alabama's season. Maybe we will look back on the Georgia game in the SEC championship game as Alabama's biggest game of the 2023 college football season, if Alabama, let's say, blows out Michigan and then blows out whoever they play in the national title between Texas and Washington. Maybe then we'll look at the SEC title game. But I think, and analytics would back me up on this, I do think that Michigan is better than Georgia. I do. I think that Michigan has a higher ceiling and a higher floor than this Georgia team. I think Michigan is one of the toughest teams in the country, and I think that the Wolverines are very strategic. They're excellent schemers. I think they have the best coaching staff in terms of assistants in the country, and that's delving into some reasons why I think Michigan will win this game, but all I'm saying is Michigan, I think, is Alabama's best opponent to date, but Saban being given a month to prepare allows him to dive deeper into the Wolverines. And you can see his commitment by him hiring former Michigan linebackers coach George Hilo. He can really dive into the Wolverines, and he's going to come out with a game plan. He's going to perfect what his team is good at, minimize what his team needs to work on or what they're bad at, and I think at times it will feel like for Michigan that Alabama knows their plays, that Alabama will be able to figure them out at times and in certain aspects on offense and defense. And as you will see in my Michigan preview and prediction video, or 5 reasons why Michigan will win video, I think that Michigan staff is also going to come in with a great game plan. But Nick Saban is better than Jim Harbaugh because Jim Harbaugh is 1-6 in bowl games in his time at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's never won a national championship. Jim Harbaugh has a losing record in top 4 and top 5 games. Saban has won 7 national titles, 6 at Alabama. He's 9-4 in college football playoff games, 6-1 in college football playoff semifinal matchups, and he has a winning record against top 10 teams, top 5 teams, and he's beaten Harbaugh before in the 2019 Citrus Bowl. He is the GOAT, and there is no debate whatsoever between Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban as to who's the better coach. When it comes to coordinators, when it comes to assistant coaches, oh yeah, there's a hot debate. I will tell you right here, I would probably lean Michigan for those positions, but in terms of head coach, Alabama has a massive advantage, and Saban is a phenomenal CEO. He knows how to win. He's an expert at delegating responsibility, and Michigan must be prepared. They have to be. They have to play to their ceiling, because if they don't play to their ceiling, there is a big chance that Alabama, because of their head coach and Nick Saban, because of the fact that their team, this is reason number 2, is the most talented team in the modern history of recruiting rankings, if they don't play to their ceiling, Alabama can and will win. Reason number 2, as I was just getting into, is the SEC is the most talent-rich conference. They're the best conference overall, and they have been for a while. And Alabama is the best team in the SEC. They're the most talented team in the SEC as well. That's a pretty scary team. Looking at, Caleb Downs, true freshman, All-American caliber player. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Malachi Moore in 2020, just a few years ago, before he got dinged up. A phenomenal player. Jalen Milroe, he has insane upside. Alabama's offensive line is young, and they've struggled, and I don't think their offensive line is good, but they're improving. This team is improving, and because of their youth and lack of experience, they have a much greater range to improve. You know how in a video game, when you level up, at some point there's that final level where you can't get any higher? I think that's a team like, let's say, Florida State or Kansas or this year's Michigan, where when it comes to experience, you've maxed out the amount of experience you can earn because your rosters are that old. Most of your players have used their COVID year, or their 5th year seniors, 6th year seniors, or their juniors, or maybe they've started since true freshmen and they have to go to the NFL after the season. That's not the case with Alabama. They have a lot more levels to surpass. They have a lot more experience to earn, and that's why they're rapidly improving, because they're approaching their ceiling. Now, recruiting rankings are not the only indicator of a team's ceiling. They help, but experience matters. Evidence based off of the eye test matters. For example, Alabama in 13 games has never had a dominant run game. Alabama in 13 games, their line of scrimmage play on the interior is suspect on both sides of the football. They're elite in terms of secondary later in the season, elite in pass rush. Run defense has never been better than just good, in my opinion, throughout the season. Same with the rush offense. And in the passing game, consistently through 13 games, the short and intermediate passing games have struggled, while the deep passing game has flourished as the season has gone on. Alabama, in all likelihood, doesn't have the potential this year to have a good short to intermediate passing game, and they likely don't have the potential to boast an elite rushing defense this season or rushing attack. But they can maximize every area of their team with a month to prepare, and the fact that with all the bowl practices and the fact that they have another game, a big game under their belts in beating Georgia, getting that experience, finding ways, both in the terms of the staff scheming and the players executing to beat a top-tier team that gives the team confidence. I think a team like Alabama, when you're this young, winning a game like that helps your team improve. It's almost like unlocking a new level. And with, again, a whole month to prepare, I do think Alabama will figure out how to unlock their ceiling, this team's ceiling. Does that mean that in the college football playoff, that because of their high school recruiting rankings, that they're going to be the team with the highest ceiling in the playoff? No. I think Washington, Michigan, and dare I say it, potentially a healthier Texas could have a higher ceiling than this Alabama team. But I say could because these games haven't been played yet. And if Alabama comes out and wins the national title, we will look back and say that, yeah, Alabama has had the highest ceiling, is what we would likely say. Not for sure, but likely. These are two reasons why I think Alabama can/will win this game. Is Nick Saban, he's the best head coach in the country, and also, this actually ties into his coaching. Alabama has unlimited talent. They're super young, which can be a disadvantage, but that also means they can improve rapidly in a short period of time, which means they may come out and play Michigan in a way that we have not seen Alabama play all season long. And Alabama could have by far their best performance of this season. So those are two reasons why I think Alabama can/will win this game. Thank you all so much for watching. I know I am predicting Michigan to win this game, and I'm sticking with that prediction, but I wanted to look at things from a devil's advocate, and I wanted to give the appropriate praise to Alabama that I do think they deserve. Nick Saban has done a wonderful job this season coaching. He is still the best coach in all the land, and while I do think Michigan right now is a higher ceiling than Alabama, and that's really the reason why I'm picking Michigan to win this game, is I think that both teams will play to their ceiling. Alabama's strength is in the deep passing game and in pass defense. Michigan's strength on offense is still running the ball in short situations. They just lack explosiveness, and they do have an elite pass defense. So Michigan having the higher ceiling, in my opinion, and schematically and roster-wise matching up well with Alabama is why I'm picking them to win. But Alabama could easily have a higher ceiling than Michigan. I know because I've seen Nick Saban teams play before. I've even watched this Alabama team this year in the SEC championship game against Texas, against LSU, against Ole Miss, and there are moments where you see that spark, where you see this team play at a near elite level, and they can absolutely win it all. Thank you so much again for watching this video. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell. Thanks to Crash2488 for sponsoring this video as a Heisman patron. Thanks to Spencer Bringhurst for sponsoring this video as an All-American patron. And thanks to Will Loftus, Gabriel Calendar, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Chris Lane, Austin Christmas, and Zubin Zah for sponsoring this game as an All-Conference patron. Check out my Patreon page via the link in the description or the pinned comment if you want to help sponsor the channel. Give support. Your support is always appreciated. However, it is never expected. Have a great day, guys.